Luke here. Hope you're doing well. Rocking the Deep Healing Space t-shirt. Check it out. It's my other stuff that I do, the healing type of stuff, okay? Hey everyone, Luke here. Hope you're doing well. In today's video, I'm talking about why Bitcoin Cash. So I thought this would go good with the last video I made with Mark about where we talked about some of the Bitcoin Cash properties, its roadmap, and things like that. So I'm going to talk about why do I like Bitcoin Cash and why is it about 20% of my portfolio right now, okay? So disclaimer, this is not investment advice, but I am about 20% into Bitcoin Cash. Okay, so I was about, how this works is I was about 80% Litecoin, and then like 3 weeks ago, I sold a portion of it. Now I'm 60% Litecoin, 20% Bitcoin Cash. And now Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash are my two biggest holdings by a pretty significant margin, okay? So why Bitcoin Cash? Well, Bitcoin Cash has suffered a lot of FUD, okay? And a lot of people are confused about Bitcoin Cash, as we talked about in my previous video that I made with Mark. And I was one of those people. When it first forked off of the Bitcoin network, I thought it was free money. I just sold it all. And I was stoked on it. I got free money. And I never really looked into the project. And to be fair, the project hadn't really found its ground yet. And it was still kind of searching for itself, in my opinion. And there wasn't as much public support behind it. But now I kind of see what they're doing. And I wanted to talk about what they were doing and why I think that Bitcoin Cash has significant value, okay? So the most important thing you need to realize about Bitcoin Cash is it's Bitcoin with bigger blocks, okay? So scaling with bigger blocks is, their main sort of, it's their main thing, right? So Bitcoin right now, it's capped at 1 megabyte for its block size, okay? And then Bitcoin Core developers and the community hope to scale it through second layer technologies like Lightning and other things, okay? The Bitcoin Cash people, they don't have a problem with Lightning and things like that for the most part. Although there are problems with Lightning we might delve into. But their main thing is, if the network can handle bigger blocks, why are we limiting the block size? And so they are working on scaling the bigger blocks, right? So making the network more efficient, making it so that the blocks are more compressed. So that means like block compression. What this basically means is just like compressing the data that's within the block so that the network can pick it up faster. And there's not as, it's like faster propagation through the network as a block is found by a miner, basically. Okay, and this is an important thing because Bitcoin right now is crippled in a lot of ways. So we haven't really entered the next bull run yet, and sometimes the Bitcoin fees right now get up to $2 already. Okay, and this is going to be a problem, and we saw it during the last bull run where Bitcoin fees went up to like $20, $30, $40, $50 sometimes because the mempool got so backed up. Okay, and Bitcoin Cash is not stifling the network in that way. They're allowing bigger blocks on the network, and they're working on allowing the network to handle bigger and bigger blocks, okay? And this is very important for various reasons, because in my opinion, you should never cripple first layer just to push throughput to the second layer, okay? So I've come to realize that you're never going to really do better than the first layer solution, right? So on the first layer, it's always going to be more decentralized, right? So if we look at Lightning or something like that, it's not as decentralized. There's more problems with it. People can, it's just, people cannot route your funds. It's more trusted, okay? The first layer is always going to be more decentralized. And even though maybe you could do some cool things with the second layer, you should never cripple the first layer just to push economic activity to the second layer, in my opinion. It's not an efficient design, okay? And I think that doing that is a mistake. I really do. because there's just more things you can do on the first layer. You can do smart contracts. It's more decentralized. You can mine on the first layer. You can do all sorts of things with opcodes and things like that. And you can do some of that stuff with the second layer, but it's always going to be more decentralized and efficient on the first layer, okay, as long as fees remain cheap, okay? And that's not to say that Lightning's bad. I do think that there's some use cases for Lightning and Plasma and all these sort of second layer solutions, but you should never sacrifice that stuff for at the expense of the first layer. Because if you can scale the first layer, you should just do all that stuff on the first layer, right? Because it's more decentralized. You can just do more stuff with it, okay? And so with Bitcoin Cash, why I think it's a good buy right now is Bitcoin Cash suffered a lot of FUD, and the community has really found a vision. So everything in crypto is a community, right? So the community is so important, you guys. Because all money really is a community, right? Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin maximalists. That's a community. There's people that love Litecoin. Like I love Litecoin. So we're a Litecoin community. Bitcoin Cash is a community. And in my opinion, the community of Bitcoin Cash is very, very strong, okay? The reason for this is because they've been suffering so much FUD and so many ad hominem attacks and so much social media attacks that they've really had to come together as a group and harden themselves to protect themselves and really sort of get down to business and building a really scalable version of Bitcoin, basically, okay? And there's a lot of hardened Bitcoiners from the very beginning of Bitcoin that were disenfranchised when Bitcoin Core decided not to go forward with any sort of even moderate block increase, okay? And the community of Bitcoin Cash, a lot of them are OGs, okay? A lot of them are people that were into Bitcoin, and as they realized that the Bitcoin Core team had no interest in making bigger blocks a possibility or doing a lot of other innovations, they realized that they were going to have to form their own sort of community, okay? And there's been a lot of attacks for Bitcoin Cash. Part of it is censorship. Part of it is media campaigns against Bitcoin Cash, where they tell you that Bitcoin Cash is a scam. So they tell you that it's a scam. They say it's a scam. They say Roger Ver is a scam artist. Roger Ver owns Bitcoin Cash. Roger Ver is a proponent of Bitcoin Cash, but he doesn't own or operate Bitcoin Cash. Okay, it's a scam. It's you know, miners are an issue. They think that miners run Bitcoin Cash and that the miners don't have the best interests of users at heart. Also, a big problem is like on some of the Reddits and things like that, there's censorship, okay? Censorship. And so basically, if you say anything positive about Bitcoin Cash on a lot of cryptocurrency communities, they automatically say it's a scam. They'll delete your posts, especially on pro-Bitcoin social media communities. If you say anything pro-Bitcoin Cash, they'll delete it, or they'll delete you from the group or anything like that. We saw this also with Bitcoin SV, okay? So Bitcoin SV, I believe, was paid off people basically just to harm Bitcoin Cash even more. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's paying these people. I don't know who's paying Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre to basically attack the Bitcoin Cash community, attack the network, to sue everyone. I don't know. It's the powers that be. I don't know if it's Bitcoin maximalists. I don't know if it's people working for the banking industry because they fear Bitcoin Cash. You have to realize that the world would be a very different place already if Bitcoin was allowed to scale like it's capable of doing. Bitcoin is capable of scaling right now with bigger blocks. Bitcoin Cash is the realization of this potential, okay? And it's a world-changing technology. A Bitcoin from the original Bitcoin Genesis block that forked and is capable of absorbing massive amounts of transaction volume is a very, very powerful thing. And I do believe that the community and the chain was attacked because they fear it. I believe that Bitcoin Cash is feared by the powers that be. And they can't stop it. And that's why you should buy it, because it ain't going anywhere. Okay, it's already bottomed in my opinion. Okay, it was at $80, so it went 1-to-1 with Bitcoin SV. and I don't think it's going anywhere. Okay, so that's the main thing, is the community is very, very hardened. And another thing with, I believe that public perception has bottomed. Okay, so perception has bottomed. What I mean by that is people have finally seen, including Roger Ver has seen, that Craig Wright is a scam artist, that not only is Craig Wright a scam artist, they're seeing like Craig Wright for who he really is. They're seeing Calvin Ayre for who he really is, and some of these other people that are part of Bitcoin SV. And I mean, in general, just the perception of Bitcoin Cash is changing. Okay, it's on a lot of the major exchanges and things like that, and people are starting to see that the community is dedicated to building a basically their peer-to-peer electronic cash system that's scalable. Okay, so let's talk about some of the actual properties of Bitcoin Cash and what they're kind of building on that I'm pretty excited about. Okay, and like I said, perception is a big thing, and honestly, Bitcoin Cash, you should have sold your Bitcoin. I did it on accident. Obviously, selling my Bitcoin Cash, well, not on accident, but I was kind of fooled into thinking Bitcoin Cash was a scam, and I sold it all when it forked. But actually, from a market standpoint, making money, that was a good idea, because Bitcoin Cash has gone down a lot versus Bitcoin, right? Since that fork happened, you know, it topped out at like 4,000 and went down to $80, right? Whereas Bitcoin hasn't gone down near as much. But right now, I do think it's an excellent buy, because I think this, like, again, the sentiment has shifted, and people are starting to see Bitcoin Cash for what it really is, and they're starting to see the community and what they're working on. And the proof is in the pudding. And as Bitcoin Cash basically leaves Bitcoin in the dust, innovation-wise, you'll begin to see more and more people move to Bitcoin Cash. Okay, so the innovation right now is actually pretty amazing right now on Bitcoin Cash. So they're block compression they're working on, so that blocks can propagate faster. Another one, they're getting snore signatures first. Snore signatures. They're getting that first. They're actually getting that in this month. Bitcoin Cash is hard forking to include snore signatures, and it's going to be maybe a year, several months at least ahead of Bitcoin Core. And that's pretty cool. They're working on Avalanche consensus. Avalanche consensus is pretty amazing, and it's like the bleeding edge. So basically, Avalanche consensus allows zero conf transactions that are safe. So it's zero conf that are safe. So how it works right now is on Bitcoin Cash, it's similar to Bitcoin, right? So a block is mined every 10 minutes. So really, for a transaction to be really safe, you need to wait for the block to be confirmed by the network, okay? So that there can't be a double spend attack. But with the Avalanche consensus, the nodes pick up true transactions quicker. I don't really know the fundamentals or exactly how it works, but the gist of it is that if you were to do a transaction, the consensus of the nodes that it was a real transaction and can't be double spent would happen within a few seconds without it actually being mined first. And so you can actually do pretty safe zero conf transactions, especially if you want to buy like a cup of coffee and you're not too worried about it. I don't know if Avalanche consensus will actually really work for like if you want to buy a car or something like that. You probably should still wait for a couple confirmations, I would imagine. But it's really good for like making safe zero confirmation transactions for like coffee, or you know, if you were just gonna go to like a restaurant and like purchases under like $100 or something like that. So Avalanche is really, really cool, and it's a huge upgrade. And so these are pretty amazing innovations that are happening on Bitcoin Cash. Okay, also they're adding tokens. So these are basically comparable to ERC20 tokens that are on Bitcoin Cash. Okay, you know, Ethereum has the ERC20 tokens. There are a lot of these utility tokens nowadays. Well, Bitcoin Cash is getting that, and now you have they have basically all the functionality of Ethereum tokens on Bitcoin Cash. And so the development team is really good. Amaury Sachet, I think is how you say his name. This guy is very, very smart dude. And Vitalik Buterin, one of the lead people of Ethereum, I saw a tweet from him yesterday, and he was saying Bitcoin Cashers are really smart people now. And it's true, and they're pushing it. They're pushing the innovation really fast. And you should be aware that Bitcoin Cash is leaving Bitcoin in the dust as far as innovation. It just is. That's just the truth. Okay. Bitcoin has a lot more network effects. There's a lot more mining hash power. Bitcoin still has a bigger community. It's more trusted, and I wouldn't even be surprised if a lot more money went into Bitcoin in the beginning of the next bull run. Okay, but fees will go up. There'll be user problems and things like that. But make no mistake, Bitcoin still has a lot of advantages over Bitcoin Cash. But an important thing with Bitcoin Cash that you need to realize, besides all the technical stuff, how all the stuff they're adding, there's a lot of very advanced coins. Okay, there's coins that are more advanced than Bitcoin Cash. Okay, that are super super advanced, but they don't have the liquidity. They're not on the exchanges. They don't have the volume. Okay, so besides the community and the upgrades they're doing, what's very very important is the fact that it forked from Bitcoin. It's a fork. So that means it has the same distribution. So we'll just write same distribution. So it has Bitcoin, same distribution. This means everyone that had Bitcoin has Bitcoin Cash. Unless they sold it, but they got it all from the fork. And so it has the same distribution as Bitcoin, okay? It's on all the same exchanges. So it's on the same exchanges. This is because it forked and all the exchanges were basically forced to support the fork. So it's on Gemini, it's on Coinbase, it's on Kraken, it's on Binance, it's on all the big exchanges that Bitcoin is. And so if people want to move dollars or other cryptocurrencies into Bitcoin Cash, there's plenty of legit trusted exchanges for people to do that. And so it has the same exchange. It has volume, not as much as Bitcoin and even Litecoin and things like that, but it has volume, it has liquidity. And so it's an advanced coin that can compete with Bitcoin, but it has a lot of the break-off community of Bitcoin that are very hardened. It has a lot of smart people working on it nowadays that want to work on Bitcoin and believe in Bitcoin, but they are forced to work on Bitcoin Cash due to the Bitcoin core devs. It has the same distribution as Bitcoin, and so the economic distribution of the coins is the same as Bitcoin because it was a fork. Okay, it's on all the major exchanges. It has good volume. It has good liquidity. And it has a thriving community that continues to grow. And I predict that as Bitcoin sees higher and higher transaction volumes, you're going to see more and more economic activity move to Bitcoin Cash. Okay. I know this is a lot at once, but I just want to go be pretty thorough with you guys, and maybe I'll go over like some of these specific stuff in other videos. But it's important that I go over all this. Okay. And last but not least, I believe in Bitcoin Cash intuitively. Okay. Now this sounds strange, but I actually, in a lot of my investments, I do it intuitively. So like when I first discovered Bitcoin, I knew that it was going to be big just intuitively. And so I like the energy of Bitcoin Cash. I think Bitcoin Cash represents humility to Bitcoin maximalists. So it represents humility to me. And I think a lot of Bitcoin maximalists that make fun of Bitcoin Cash and say it's a scam, and they're like Tone Vays and Jimmy Song and all those guys, I think they're going to eat crow. Because I think that Bitcoin has been stifled on purpose to become digital gold, which is fine. But it's been stifled as far as transaction and peer-to-peer cashes goes. And they don't understand the importance of a peer-to-peer cash system. And they're so arrogant about it. And they're so arrogant about Bitcoin Cash. I think that they're going to be taught humility about Bitcoin Cash. This is a big prediction. I predict Bitcoin Cash will reach parity with Bitcoin. Someday. Someday it will reach parity with Bitcoin and maybe even surpass it. I think Bitcoin Cash will someday be the biggest cryptocurrency in the world. I really do. It sounds crazy. I think it'll have the most, it'll have the most liquidity and volume and the biggest market cap someday. It might take 5 years, I don't know. But intuitively, and even if it doesn't, I still think it will outperform, right? So I think Bitcoin Cash, intuitively, is going to be very important to people learn the truth about economics and how a lot of the stuff that Bitcoin core people parrot is not true. And it represents humility. Okay, and I think it's going to reach parity with Bitcoin. It sounds crazy, but hey, if I'm right, this will be a pretty crazy video, right? And I think it'll outperform Litecoin over the next 5 years. So I think it'll outperform even Litecoin. And you guys know, I mean, I'm 60% Litecoin right now. I do think Litecoin will outperform it temporarily because of the halving hype. Maybe even for the next few years as Litecoin becomes like digital silver. But long term, Bitcoin Cash I think will outperform Bitcoin and Litecoin over the next like 5 years. So I mean like longer term. Okay. So what Bitcoin Cash represents to me intuitively. So when Bitcoin Cash, I mean with Bitcoin, I feel it's digital gold. Litecoin is digital silver, so I think Litecoin will outperform Bitcoin because similar to gold and silver, the ratio is off, and Litecoin should be a higher ratio compared to Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Cash is not gold or silver. You know what Bitcoin Cash is? You know what I think Bitcoin Cash will become? Bitcoin Cash will become the dollar. Okay. And what has a bigger market cap right now in our world? Gold, silver, or the US dollar? The US dollar has the biggest market cap because it's not only a store of value, it's used to back all the bonds, it's used as a settlement currency, it's used to settle gold, oil trade, it's used to settle trades between nations, it's used for peer-to-peer transactions. When I PayPal someone, it's usually denominated in US dollars. It's foreign reserves. Most central banks in foreign countries hold dollars in their reserves. And the US dollar dwarfs silver and gold in terms of market cap. And I think Bitcoin Cash, you can even see it now in their marketing, right? It's green now and it looks more like cash. And so cash has a bigger market cap than gold or silver. And I think that Bitcoin Cash might become the new US dollar. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later.